U.S. unmanned aircraft are wreaking havoc across the world. The latest attacks in Yemen have left at least 11 people dead. It came just hours after another U.S. drone strike killed at least 8 people in Pakistan's North Waziristan region. Libya, Somalia and Iraq are also familiar with such lethal attacks on their soil over the past years. Despite the U.S. claims that it's targeting militants, statistics show civilians are the main victims.
All drone strikes in Pakistan are taken out by CIA. Now, if you look at the number of individuals whose names and identities and as their militants is known, a very big estimate is not more than 170 people. So it simply means that over 2,800 people are civilians.
Earlier this year, Washington publicly acknowledged the use of unmanned aerial vehicles as part of its military strategy.
Yes, in full accordance with the law, and in order to prevent terrorist attacks on the United States and to save American lives, the United States government conducts targeted strikes against specific al-Qaeda terrorists.
Full accordance with the law, most international lawyers disagree. The United Nations has warned the extrajudicial killings undermine longer-standing rules of warfare under the international law. But how? A nation or group of nations can legally use armed intervention against another country if they come under attack or if they have a UN Security Council mandate. Washington's drone strikes fail to meet either of these requirements. CIA agents who conduct drone strikes are not part of the United States Armed Forces. They are civilians directly participating in hostilities, which means they cannot be held accountable. The US is also leading a coalition of countries in Afghanistan. Thousands of civilians have been killed since the invasion began back in 2001. In the most recent incident, 8 civilians were slaughtered in their house by US-led airstrike. But Washington's long list of violations does not end there. Decades of US-led unilateral sanctions against countries like Iran have also caused a lot of concern. The US sanctions are in breach of the UN Charter because they are viewed as intervention in the domestic affairs of a sovereign state. The unilateral sanctions go beyond punitive measures that have been imposed by the United Nations, and they violate human rights because many argue they are aimed at putting pressure on the people so that they would eventually turn against the government. Even US presidential hopeful Ron Paul has described them as acts of war. Many believe adopting such policies has severely compromised the US position in the international community as a country that claims to be the role model of democracy and respect for international law.